Welcome to Senior Health Digest. You eat clean, you cook at home, you avoid fried food, you cut back on sugar, you switch to olive oil, you choose whole grains, you stopped eating fast food years ago. So why is your cholesterol still high? Why does your LDL barely move? Why does your lab report still show elevated, even though you are trying harder than ever? If clean eating works, why isn't it working for you? Let's slow this down, because this is where most people misunderstand cholesterol. Eating clean and lowering LDL are not the same thing. They overlap, but they are not identical. And once you understand that difference, everything becomes clearer. Part 1. Cholesterol is internally regulated. Harvard Health Publishing explains that your liver produces cholesterol every single day, even if you consume none in your diet. That surprises many people. But cholesterol is essential. It is required for hormone production. It supports cell membrane structure. It helps synthesize vitamin D. It is used to make bile acids for digestion. Your body constantly balances production and clearance. So when LDL stays high, the issue is often regulation, not simply intake. Clean eating improves food quality, but it does not automatically correct internal regulation. That is the first shift in thinking. Part 2. The clearance system. Why LDL stays circulating. LDL is removed from circulation through LDL receptors in the liver. Research published in the Journal of Lipid Research describes how these receptors act like docking stations. Each LDL particle must bind to a receptor to be cleared. With aging, receptor activity can become less efficient. That may mean fewer receptors, lower sensitivity, slower clearance. So LDL may stay in the bloodstream longer than it used to. Now here's the important question. Does slower mean broken? No. It means the metabolic environment matters more than ever. When insulin sensitivity improves, when visceral fat decreases, when inflammation lowers, LDL clearance often improves. The receptor is not gone. It is influenced. Part 3. The overproduction system, the insulin connection. Now let's look at the other side. LDL often increases not because clearance stops, but because production increases. The liver produces VLDL. VLDL later converts into LDL. What influences VLDL production? Insulin signaling. The National Institutes of Health explains that insulin resistance increases hepatic lipoprotein production. When insulin signaling weakens, the liver produces more VLDL. VLDL converts into LDL. Liver fat may accumulate, so LDL rises, even when food looks healthy. This is why cholesterol is often an insulin story disguised as a fat story. You can eat clean food and still have impaired insulin sensitivity. And this is where many people get it wrong. They try harder at the same strategy. They cut more fat. They eat cleaner. They restrict more. But if the issue is metabolic alignment, the solution is not stricter restriction. The solution is smarter alignment. Part 4. The 5 real adjustments that move LDL. Now let's move to action, because cholesterol does respond, but it responds to physiology, not labels. Reduce visceral fat, even modestly. Clinical research on metabolic syndrome shows that even a 5–10% reduction in body weight can improve lipid markers. Why? Because visceral fat sends free fatty acids directly to the liver. That increases VLDL production. More VLDL means more LDL. Reducing visceral fat lowers hepatic pressure, improves insulin sensitivity, improves LDL regulation. This is metabolic unloading, not cosmetic dieting. 2. Use soluble fiber intentionally. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that increasing soluble fiber intake can reduce LDL cholesterol in a measurable way. Soluble fiber binds bile acids. Bile acids are made from cholesterol. When fiber increases bile acid excretion, the liver pulls LDL from circulation to replace them. I often have oatmeal for breakfast and add barley to soups or lentils and beans at lunch. I use psyllium when appropriate, and consistency matters more than intensity. I replace saturated fats rather than increasing total fat. This mechanism remains active even after 60. 3. Replace saturated fat. Do not stack fats. Saturated fats include butter, fatty red meat, cream, full-fat cheese, coconut oil. Harvard Health has noted that replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats can help improve LDL levels. Monounsaturated fats include olive oil, avocado, almonds, pecans. Replacing saturated fat with monounsaturated fat can support LDL reduction. I swap butter, fatty red meat, cream, full-fat cheese, and coconut oil for monounsaturated options like olive oil, avocado, and nuts. Replace. Do not stack. Changing fat quality shifts metabolic signaling. Quantity determines metabolic load. 4. Protect muscle through resistance training. Muscle improves insulin sensitivity. Muscle improves glucose disposal. Muscle reduces metabolic strain on the liver. After age 50, muscle declines without resistance training. 2 to 3 sessions per week can significantly improve metabolic markers. Simple movements work. Sit to stand, light dumbbells, and resistance bands work. I treat muscle as metabolic insurance at 60, 70, and even later. 5. Restore meal rhythm. Frequent snacking keeps insulin elevated. Constant insulin stimulation increases lipoprotein production. Structured meals allow insulin to fall between eating periods. This is not extreme fasting. It is metabolic rhythm restoration. Reducing grazing alone can improve insulin patterns for some people. This is important because many people give up too early. People often expect dramatic change in 2 weeks. That is not how lipid metabolism works. Part 5. Realistic expectations. LDL does not collapse overnight. Many people see measurable movement in 8 to 12 weeks when changes are consistent. Even a 5% reduction in LDL is clinically meaningful. A 10% reduction is significant. If LDL remains elevated despite strong lifestyle alignment, that is information, not failure. That information guides a conversation with my clinician about additional support if needed. Let's return to the beginning. I know you eat clean. Your cholesterol stayed high. That does not mean nothing works. It means clean eating is only one variable. Cholesterol responds to liver function, insulin sensitivity, body composition, muscle mass, inflammatory tone, and meal rhythm. When those align, LDL often moves not instantly or dramatically, but measurably. And measurable progress is real progress. I recommend always consulting with your healthcare provider before making significant changes, especially if managing cardiovascular risk. If this helped you, I hope you share it with someone you love.